Anytime you get a starting receiver back and Nico, a guy who's been, before he was out, he was the top receiver in the league. So I think anytime you get him back is going to help everybody.
That's a great point, DeMeco Ryans. Having Nico Collins back should help. We hope. The offense has really hit a snide here, as the last couple of games, they have been unable to do anything in the second half. No points at all. I think 15 points since the explosion that they had in the second half against the Patriots over a period of, 4 games? But hey, it's that time of the week. It's Wednesday. And every single Wednesday, because we're trying to get back on track and refocus to move on from the last game to the next one, Monday night in Arlington against the Dallas Cowboys. Let's reset the season. But this is the tricky part. Do we say that the Houston Texans are 0-0? Or do we say that the Houston Texans, now that they got Nico Collins back, we hope, barring some sort of last-second scratch like on Sunday night, are back to what they were in games that Nico Collins played, which is 4-1. Of course, Nico Collins had that big touchdown reception to open up the game against the Buffalo Bills. He didn't finish the game. Texans were winning then. Hung on for dear life for that W. We've reset the season for the Texans. Again, it's a Wednesday tradition, but embrace debate. Are the Texans 0-0 or 4-1? I am leaning towards 4-1. When they have the best wide receiver in the National Football League, statistically, that was true.
Mm-hmm.
They are 4-1. So they are once again 4-1. Is this something that somebody does because they are really just struggling to grasp with the reality that this team is probably not going to go deep in the playoffs? Again, it could be. But no, we're trying to get the positive vibes back. I am trying to give you guys a deep steel blue pill. And yeah, I might be giving it to you the same way that you give your puppy a pill. Open his snout, put the pill in, hold the snout closed. You got no choice but to swallow it. But I feel like it is time for you to swallow that the Houston Texans are actually 4-1 as we press the reset button to focus on the Dallas Cowboys.
I like it. This is a 4-1 football team.
This is a 4-1 football team. Paul, they've played 10 games. True. But they're actually 4-1. Just tell them. Just tell the person who is doubting you. All of those people who are looking at you in your battle red or deep steel blue Texans gear. You're still wearing it. You're proud. I'm proud. Although I'm wearing a Houston Gambler shirt. I'm not wearing any Houston Texans stuff this week. Sorry, can't do it. But you're still proud. And that person's going to come up to you and say, oh, you root for a bunch of frauds. This damn carpetbagging Yankee transplant who's in your city taking your jobs. He's going to probably vote that the Astros conservatorship, the Astrodome conservatorship can build this $1 billion renovation to the Astrodome. This out-of-towner, this rat bastard who's talking bleep to you, you tell him we're actually 4-1. We got the best wide receiver in the NFL back on the field. How about you suck on that?
Yeah. Still tied for the most wins in the AFC South at 4.
That is true. That is true. I mean, you would be back to being technically tied, but at the same time, the win percentage is all that matters.
Up 5 in the loss column.
You're up a lot in the loss column. 4-1, right next to the Indianapolis Colts at 4-6. Would make you seem like you've experienced some sort of plane crash or other disaster.
Yes.
Like we are Marshall. I guess the season just stopped because everyone didn't make it. Sean, why are you laughing? That was a serious tragedy that was made into a movie starring Matthew McConaughey.
It was me. I've seen the movie.
Before the McConaissance. This is when no one took Matthew McConaughey seriously. Now people take him seriously. Interesting how True Detective season 1 did that, of all things. Plus a couple of other random appearances over that time. Dallas Buyers Club.
And basically a cameo in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yep. Interstellar. Like all of that.
Interstellar was, I think that one and Dallas Buyers Club. That was the.
He used to be just, here is eye candy man meat for women to go watch a rom-com.
Yeah, and then failed action movie. He would like try an action movie, it would not work.
Yeah, what was it, Sahara or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Something like that.
Yeah, but it's mostly failure to launch, and the one with Terry Bradshaw in it. I forgot that.
I haven't seen that one. They're all the same.
Ghost of Girlfriend's Past.
But then McConaughey got a rebrand, and the Texans got a rebrand and a reset, and now they're 4-1 because Nico Collins is back. By the way, DeMeco Ryans was asked how Nico Collins will help out with the Texans' second half adjustments. Here's what he had to say.
First off, the biggest thing, coaches make adjustments all throughout the game. So it's not like a big second half adjustment that happens in games. Defenses, they don't run one coverage the first half and come out and run a different coverage. That's not what it is, right? They're always rolling different calls, and you have to be able to make plays based on whatever you're seeing from that perspective. So it's not so much about, for me, not the adjustments. I look at us first and foremost. Right? A lot of people can focus on whatever adjustments defense makes, but it's about us and our focus and our execution. And I'll continue to speak about that because that's the only thing that matters to me is the Texans and how we execute and how we operate. And right now, first half, we had some really good things that happened. It wasn't all perfect. And the second half of the game, we didn't execute the right way. We couldn't get plays started. We got penalties. We got negative plays. We're not blocking the right people on our assignments. So let's do that right. And then let's see how we can play and finish in the second half.
So that was a lot, right? That was a lot from DeMeco there. And he's talking about the many issues the Texans are dealing with and how the coaching staff is adjusting throughout the game, even though it really doesn't feel like the offensive side of things is doing that. What he should have said is the same thing that he said about Nico Collins potentially being back on Monday. Nico Collins helps us out tremendously. Because that is what you're banking on the rest of the way, is that having Nico Collins just fixes everything. And he has to fix everything. Because your pass protection, it might be a little bit better with no Kenyon Green anymore, but still got some issues. And your run blocking is just going to struggle. That's something that we've come to accept on an offensive line that does not have, of all things, Kenyon Green. But it doesn't matter right now because the Texans are back to 4-1. And I think we should go further with the reset because everyone's looking at the Dallas Cowboys and you're thinking to yourself, the Dallas Cowboys, they are a dumpster fire. There's actual debate right now for the Dallas Cowboys about, number one, is too much sun getting into the stadium? And why is the sun not affecting Mike McCarthy's press conferences? Because there's a shade there, but there's no shade in the stadium. Number two, there's an actual debate about whether or not the Cowboys should play Trey Lance or Cooper Rush now that Dak Prescott is out for the rest of the year. This is an actual debate that's taking place. Trey Lance has been terrible every single time we've seen him in the NFL. Go back to that game that he played against the Texans in the Davis Mills era back in, I want to say, 2021.
2022, because we were doing a show.
Oh, we were doing a show for the 49ers game? No, Sean, it was the year before.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the year before when they saw Trey Lance. It was a Texans 49ers game in 2021. It was right after I had moved back here. I remember watching it and I was like, "Oh my God, this is rough. This is really rough to watch." But because the next year they played the NFC East teams, and that was where they had the Eagles Thursday night football game, and none of us paid any attention to it, right?
That's right.
So
I think I'm confusing with when they played the Bears that year too, and they gave up like 700 rush.
That was the first game, right? You're right. They played the NFC North, and they also played the Eagles that year. That was after the 17-game expansion. But anyway, back in 2022, this is what we're going to reset the Dallas Cowboys to. We're going to reset the Dallas Cowboys so that the Texans take them seriously. Don't overlook them the same way they overlooked the Jets. Because they overlooked the Jets. They overlooked the Jets. I get it, but they overlooked them. They had just lost to the Patriots. You overlooked them. Can't overlook them. That's on DeMeco. That's not just on Bobby Slowick. Whatever. The Cowboys, and I went back to October 3rd, 2022, to a then Paul Gallant show rundown, because this is right after Vanessa left us. Didn't say anything. Woo. Paul, I'm just going out for a pack of cigarettes. Vanessa doesn't smoke. I'm just going out for some milk. And then next thing I know, she's the Rocket sideline reporter. She moved on up.
Wow. Yeah. Back then it was also like, she She left us for the Rockets
in the middle of football season.
Yeah.
In the middle of a Davis Mills campaign. Unbelievable.
To tell us about Kevin Porter Jr. updates.
That was what it was at the time.
Yeah.
But October 3rd, 2022, I took a look at my show notes. The Dallas Cowboys are 3-1, 3-0 after Cooper Rush starts. Rush is the first quarterback in Cowboys history to start 4-0. Rush is the first quarterback in NFL history to win each of his first 4 career starts with a passer rating of 90 or higher in each win. So the Houston Texans are 4-1 because Nico Collins is back, and that is the record in games that Nico Collins has played in 2024. And the Dallas Cowboys are back to their record on October 3rd of 2022 of 3-1. So this is actually a really good primetime matchup.
4-1 versus 3-1.
I hope Joe Buck and Troy Aikman treat this game with the respect that it deserves.
Just an early bye week for the Cowboys, but this is a week 5 matchup?
This is a week 5
week
matchup
6 matchup
in week 11. Who would have seen it coming? But that's where we are, okay? Paul, that doesn't make any sense from a math perspective. Why are you a huge idiot? Shut up. You don't understand. We're pressing the reset button for the Texans, not just for them, so that they have confidence again, but also so that they respect the opponent that they are playing on Monday.
I'm looking. I have the rundown open from 2022. The next bullet point after this was from a 10-minute drill. The next one was Andy Dalton was pretty solid, subbing in for Jameis Winston, but the Saints are 1-3 after a 28-25 L in London. What a depressing sentence.
That's a lot.
Also, the Raiders hang on to beat Russell Wilson and the Broncos, making the Texans the last in the winless team.
Mm-hmm.
What a time. What a time.
That's
Pep
true.
Hamilton was in the crosshairs.
Mm-hmm.
God.
There was a time where we thought Pep Hamilton was the guy. By the way,
before August or October 3rd, 2022.
This fan base that is calling for Bobby Slug's head does not exactly have the best track record. And to go back to something we were talking about on yesterday's show, again, the people in the French Revolution, they thought they knew what they were doing. The fans were like, and by the fans, I mean the citizens of France.
the fans.
They were like, yeah, we got to get rid of Louis the whatever the hell. I think it was 16th. So they cut his head off with the guillotine. And after that, they didn't really figure out like who was next. And that guy, Maximilien Robespierre, you know, he led something called the DPS, which led to an era in France called the Terror. So
how was that?
It didn't go so well.
Okay.
So Texans fans were once pushing for Pep Hamilton to be head coach, offensive coordinator, and it didn't work out. Credit to Pep, seems to have bounced back. He's doing stuff for the NFL Network. I'm seeing him do stuff on KPRC.
Yeah.
He did make Davis Mills look good for what it's worth. He did. It's not like he's never been good. It just the next year, good God, I don't know what happened.
There is a part of this rundown that says valid gripes against Pep Hamilton,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just skip to the funny ones.
That was when we were turning the page on Pep Hamilton.
Yes.
Because we're resetting the Cowboys back to October 3rd, 2022, and we were just looking at my show notes from that day.
Mills finally got Brandon Cooks involved. Is one of them.
I forgot about that.
One of them, Kenyon Green progression, rough day, 2 holds, an unnecessary roughness, sack allowed that caused a fumble.
Yep, that sounds
Kenyon
right.
Green.
That sounds right. Things haven't changed.
No, the more they change, the more they stay the same.
Except for the Texans record has now changed to 4-1, and the Cowboys record has now changed to 3-1 because Cooper Rush was 3-1 at one point in 2022.
God.